The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix is one of the best books I have read this year, and it's only February. I don't know how you can top this book. This came out of left field completely. I picked up this book for the freaking title alone because I thought it was interesting, and wow, it knocked my socks off. I've never seen anybody talk about this book. I had no idea about this book. Even reading the synopsis, I was interested in this book, but I didn't know half of what was going to be in this book. So let me read it to you. Let's just get it all out. Patricia Campbell's life has never felt smaller. Her husband is a workaholic, her teenage kids have their own lives, her senile mother-in-law needs constant care, and she's always a step behind on her endless to-do list. The only thing keeping her sane is her book club, a close-knit group of Charleston women united by their love of true crime. At these meetings, they're as likely to talk about the Manson family as they are about their own families. One evening, after a book club, Patricia is viciously attacked by an elderly neighbor, bringing the neighbor's handsome nephew, James Harris, into her life. James is well-traveled and well-read, and he makes Patricia feel things she hasn't felt in years. Now, when I originally read this, I thought it was a romance. I would then be put to shame very, very badly. This book is not a romance at all. There you go. Where was I? But when the children on the other side of town go missing, their deaths written off by the local police. Patricia has reasons to believe that James Harris is more of a Bundy than a Brad Pitt. And the real problem? James is a monster of a different kind, and Patricia has already invited him in. Little by little, James will insinuate himself into Patricia's life and try to take everything she took for granted, including the book club, but she won't surrender without a fight in this blood-soaked tale of neighborly kindness gone wrong. Let's just take a moment. It's a long title. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Patricia is a suburban white woman in a very rich suburban white area. She has a husband who is a doctor and 2 kids who hate her. She is living the typical housewife life of constantly just cleaning and having routines that are very, very boring and not having much excitement in her life. She has a book club with all the other women in town because they're all also housewives. And together they're reading a lot of thrillers and a lot of true crime, not documentaries, a lot of true crime books. But then James Harris comes to town. James Harris comes to town with a suspicious amount of money, no IDs, and he can't go out in the sun. Now, Patricia is so friendly and helps him out, and just assumes that he has a condition, which he says he does. And it is a condition, but not one of the typical kind. So, she helps him create a bank account. She helps him get IDs, and suddenly, $80,000 is in his name, and a little bit is in hers. I think she opened the account for him. So she gets a little bit of a piece of the action, if you know what I mean. All of a sudden, I'm trying to think about how to approach this. Children from 6 Mile, which is the town over, start going missing. Now, for those of you who know 6 Mile is a predominantly black area. So now we have like this clear divide between the wealthy whites and the poor black people and how that's happening. And the mediator in this situation in the book is Mrs. Green. Mrs. Green is the house cleaner for Patricia. And she comes and she helps with Patricia's elderly grandmother. And at first when she was introduced, it was specified that she was black, and I feel like the wokeness got stirred up within me. I was like, are we just, perpetuating the stereotype that all house cleaners have to be black and poor? or like, you know, a person of color and poor. Like, what? I don't understand. I mean, the book takes place in the 80s to 90s. So I guess that gives some context, but I was a little put off. But then you start getting into the politics of my cat is me. The politics between the two towns, because children are going missing in 6 Mile and they don't even end up on the paper, because that's just what colored folks do. From the book. That's not a direct quote, obviously, that's paraphrasing, but the police, the white police, they ignore what is going on with the children going missing and top it off to drugs. Or this one child, Patricia, she starts realizing that James Harris is very suspicious and he might be more involved in these disappearances than she thought. And she goes over to warn her, one of the daughters or one of the children who's becoming sick and is having all of the symptoms the previous children had had before they died, and is like there to warn her, being like, hey, this is what's going on. This is the man who's doing it to your kid. Be careful. But she goes over there. The child is missing already. And she knows, hey, this child is about to die. She ends up finding James Harris in a van with the daughter and him sucking on the inside of her thigh, extracting blood from her through this. It's described as like a bug creature in his mouth, and it's so creepy. The way this book is written is very, like, it's super thriller-like, and it has some horror elements in it, but she witnesses this happening, and she reports it to the police, and the police, they just see that the daughter has what looks like track marks from drugs on her thigh, and she lives in a bad neighborhood, and they take her away. The, like, DSS or whatever the child services is in the book takes the child away, as they do many children of color, because they're racist in real life and in this book. It talks a lot about the distinctions of what happens in white areas and what happens in black areas, and how black people are treated, especially by the police, especially when people are dying or going missing. Like, just the I don't know the word for it. The fatigue of caring about black people and their lives is very present in this book. And also you get an interesting look at pedophiles and how pedophiles work and operate. James Harris is a vampire, but he is a strong euphemism for a pedophile and a rapist. He attacks the children in a town. He targets black children, uses them, gets them addicted to him, grooms them, gets them addicted to him, makes them come back, and then when he leaves, they kill themselves because they're so distraught after what has happened to them. And because they're so... It basically goes through the psychological effects of being groomed and raped as a child. It is very... You won't realize that at first, but once you keep reading, it becomes very apparent, and it is extremely... It's sickening. But it's so grappling, the way that the writing, like, pulls you in and makes you realize these things over time, that this isn't simply a vampire. This is a guy who's a manipulator, who is reflective of colonizers, who is a rapist, who is a molester, who like is many, many things. He is many things under this umbrella, and that he targets children who will not be missed. He targets black children because they will not be cared about by the wider society. And when these children start going missing, the white people, Patricia cares. Patricia cares because she's like, that could be my kid. She doesn't realize it at first, but she cares. And then the rest of them are like, well, James Harris is a good man. He's friends with our husbands. You're crazy, Patricia. And they all gaslight the fuck out of her. Even her husband makes him apologize to James, makes her apologize to James for spreading rumors that are very, very true, and that he does do these things. Just because, oh, he's a good man and I know him. And we see this all the time in real life. And it was so irritating. I got upset at this book. I was irritated. I was frustrated. And I just couldn't, like, I had to stop reading because I was so peeved with the characters for not believing Patricia. But this is what happens. It takes a look at racism and pedophilia and misogyny. Misogyny is so deep-rooted in this book. How women are treated, how women are viewed by their husbands, by their children, how their children are learned to interact with their mother through the lens of misogyny. It's so deep and riveting. I don't want to spoil the entire book, but it's basically Patricia having to deal with most of this information on her own, having to realize these things on her own, and then eventually she gives up. She gives up halfway through the book, but then she gets back on it once things I don't want to spoil happen. It becomes more necessary for her. But when she gets back to it, Miss Green, I haven't mentioned Miss Green in a while. So she was the helper and the house cleaner. She took care of the elderly grandmother. And she had to move her kids out of the state to live with her sister because all of the kids in 6 Mile were going missing and ending up dead. And she was afraid for her children. So she shipped her kids out and she stayed there because she had to work. And for the 3 years that Patricia gives up, even though she promised to keep the children of 6 Mile safe, Miss Green is pissed when Patricia comes back caring about it again all of a sudden. She's like, you left me. You left my kids. You don't care about us unless these problems are happening to you. You only care about this now, again, because these are happening to you. There is no moment in this book where race just feels like an identifier. It is a core part of this book that I feel shouldn't be ignored, and that's why I'm saying it. Because on the cover and on the synopsis, it doesn't mention anything about that. But it is such an important part of this book. The politics of this book are what make it so amazing to me, and such a realistic read. It feels like real life. And it's hard. It's hard to read. It's disgusting to read. What James does to children is disgusting to read. What he does to women is disgusting to read. How their husbands treat them when they finally wise up and feel the urge to say something like they're crazy is disgusting. This is an insanely prolific book about a woman finding community, challenging authority, and challenging norms of racism and misogyny in order to better herself in order to make her kids' lives, the future, better. The found family in this is heartwarming when they finally come together. And you will never meet a stronger female main character, I believe, than Patricia. I urge you to read this book wherever you can, however you can, or audiobook it. I don't even know if it's available. I don't know how popular this book is. I don't know if it's available anywhere. I will personally lend this book out just to have somebody else read it. I'm begging you, this will not be a waste of your time. I will say it again. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires is the most prolific book I have read this year. And I feel like it will sit with me for the coming months. This is a easy 5-star read. So if you're looking for something new to read, this is the book. Thank you, peoples. Bye.